Let's talk today about some strategies for coping with the difficulties of life, with our emotions, with our feeling of displacement, with what we're struggling with. So, there are many different parts of a human in a certain sense. Like the one that I like to talk about is the form and the non-form. But there's also emotions, there's our mental state, and anything can often be processed through any different part of us. So, for example, let's say you're in a difficult situation. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you didn't get into college. Maybe your child is sick. Maybe you're having relationship issues. Maybe your finances aren't where you want them to be and you're struggling. You can deal with this through either the physical, the emotional, the energetic, and the mental. There's probably more than that as well, but I want to talk about those four different ways of being able to navigate our difficulties. Let's start with the physical. So, very often when something is irking us, we're in a state, we feel terrible, we're going to be pent up. We're never going to feel chilled and relaxed. Oh, yeah, loads of shit's going on in my world, but I'm so fine. That's unusual for that to happen. So, if you want to deal with this physically, one of the most useful things that you could ever do for yourself, if you are able, is to go for a walk. Just to walk. You can go at whatever pace suits you, whether it's an amble, a stroll, a fast pace where you're trying to get some welly into it. It moves things. And if you can walk with some regularity, and if you can walk in nature, even better. But the action of moving your body in whatever way is most comfortable for you does an awful lot, a lot more than you'd imagine. So if you could walk for even 20 minutes when you're feeling stressed, when you're not feeling so good, go for a walk. There's also swimming, there's also stretching. I'm not saying you have to walk, you could cycle. But something about walking, it's so ancient. It's like what humans have done forever. Feet on the ground, one step in front of the other. And it gives you space to think, it gives you space to feel. If you don't want to think or feel, you can listen to music or listen to a talk. But letting your body move, encouraging your body to move, simply by getting out of the house, changing your state. If you want to change your state, you have to change something. And physically, just going for a walk. You could just jump up and down on the spot, but just doing something physical to change things on a physical level will make a huge, huge, huge difference. The next most dense layer is our emotions. And when our emotions are raging, it's like we're in a storm in the ocean and we get battered. Our emotions are all over the place. We might be crying, we might be screaming. What do we do with that? How do we navigate things on an emotional level? So here's the thing about emotion. Emotion wants to be felt. If you think of it as emotion, energy in motion. So when you're in a state, there's probably too much emotion to feel. So what you need to do in that place is give it somewhere to go. Feelings need somewhere to go, a receptacle, a vessel, something for them to go into. So you could talk to somebody, or you could just talk. You could just speak out loud as if you were talking to somebody. Because if you haven't got anybody there, what are you going to do? If you can just speak. And what I like to do is I like to really speak it. Like I like to use all the swear words I could ever know and stomp and shout. And I like to make the situation completely wrong in that context. They said this or they did that, and what's wrong with them? And just getting the emotion to kind of come up. You're deliberately wanting to raise the emotion. And then you feel the emotion. But you know what? You don't need to feel emotion for very long. About a minute. If you've gone to 90 seconds, that's plenty. Even if it's a much bigger emotion than you can feel in that short period of time, just feeling it for a short period of time, almost like deciding that I'm just going to feel a teaspoon's worth of this emotion. That can also be really helpful. So if you can just consider that emotions want to be felt, and when you're all over the place with them, you're not really feeling them. You're splashing around in them. So coming back to yourself and noticing what you're feeling. Get the top layer off by saying it out loud. You can make it as bad as you want in that period. And then once you've got that top layer off, noticing, how do I feel? Maybe you feel sad. Sadness tends to live around the chest. Maybe you've got gut ache. Maybe you've got grief in your guts. can you go there? Like, we do so much to avoid feeling anything. If humans could just feel the difficult feelings, we'd be so free. But we avoid them. It's like the worst thing for humans is pain. Obviously, we move away from pain towards pleasure. But if we can just feel a little bit of the pain, we stabilize, we're freer. The next place that we can address things from is our mental state, our mind. Now, I don't know about you, but when there's something going wrong in the world, in our world, our mind just goes round in circles. It goes on a loop. I can't. It gets stuck, basically. So what do we do with our mind? One of the things I like to do is I like to actually stop and notice, what am I saying to myself? What am I thinking here? Sometimes it can be useful to write it down. What's coming out of me? What's going through me? What's churning? What's churning within me? There's an exercise I like to do. This is from Eckhart Tolle and from The Power of Now, where he talks about spending 60 seconds, so 1 minute, being like the cat ready to pounce upon the mouse of thought. So if you can find enough stillness within you to just, for a minute, you can set a timer for a minute, just notice, what do you think? What are you thinking? And I found when I do that exercise, even once I finish doing the exercise, I start noticing, oh, I think thoughts are happening. Is that true, what I'm thinking? And it gives us an opportunity to question ourselves when we can know what we're thinking. Most of the time, we don't even notice what we're thinking. There's just a lot of thought, and it can spiral negatively. If you can stop that process by slowing it right down and noticing what you're thinking, it helps enormously. Another thing that one can do with thought is to breathe. We can't really control our thoughts very easily, but our thoughts can respond to our breath. So if we can slow our breath down, if we can relax our breathing, our thought can calm down. So there's another thing to do with thought. So one thing is to write it down to get it out, and the other is to slow it right down by focusing on the breath. And then the thoughts tend to calm along with the breath. And the last area that I want to talk about is energy, spirit. How can we use our spirit to help us with whatever crisis we're in at that point? And for me, it's completely about bringing ourselves home to ourselves, bringing ourselves here. We get scattered when we have an issue. And if we can contain our issue and we can bring it here, we can use the most awful of circumstances, the most difficult of circumstances as rocket fuel to do something useful. I've seen people who've suffered from heartbreak, channeling the heartbreak into their career, and then their career takes off beautifully. It's a kind of a fuel. If we can use it as fuel, if we can bring ourselves here and notice that we have an energy about us, we can channel that energy into our own calmness. That makes a huge difference. And these 4 steps we can use for almost anything that's displacing us, anything that's just distressing us. See how you go and let me know. And while you're here, if you could just like, subscribe, and do all the things with the video to make this channel work, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.